After this election, the NDP are going to be completely irrelevant for the next 8 years, and he knows it.
As the threat of tariffs approaches with Donald Trump's inauguration on January 20th, the federal government has responded inconsistently. A lack of leadership from Justin Trudeau has prompted provincial premiers to step in and try to fill the vacuum, like Danielle Smith and Doug Ford. Jagmeet Singh took to the microphone today, calling on everyone to stop what they're doing and pay attention to him because he is the one with the answer.
Let's take a look.
Donald Trump is a clear threat to Canada. His tariff threats are directly threatening hundreds and thousands of Canadian jobs. They also threaten to increase the cost of living at a time when people are already struggling with the cost of groceries and the cost of their bills. So it is serious. We have to take it seriously. And that's why what we've seen again and again has not worked. Going to meet with them, trying to wine and dine them, is a failed approach. Donald Trump is not rational. You can't discuss a plan over a meal with him. He is a bully. And bullies understand one thing, that is strength.
And you're going to be the guy to set him straight. Okay.
I'm kind of confused because Jagmeet Singh seems to think that traveling down to Mar-a-Lago, where Donald Trump hangs out, and then having dinner with him is whining and dining him. I thought whining and dining was essentially meaning that, you are taking the individual out and you're paying for dinner and everything like that. It's
meant to impress, I think, is the thing that he's trying to get at.
He's such an orator.
Well, when you're courting somebody, you wine and dine them. You try to impress them. Look how much extra money I make that I can take you to this fancy restaurant. Don't you want to be my wife? That's what courting is.
I agree, but it's just a little strange, when you go over to somebody's house and you're like, hey, I'm wining and dining you in your own house. It's
maybe it's different for rich people. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't get it. But I don't know. Maybe Jagmeet should get in his face and be like, who said it? Who said it? Did you say it? Who said it?
Well, I just find it interesting that Jagmeet is coming across all tough and, you have to show strength to a bully. Meanwhile, you've been attached to Trudeau at the hip for the past 2.5 years. Not as a leader, not displaying strength, but as a follower.
Well, and a lapdog. And
yeah.
Trudeau has been literally bullying every single Canadian in this country with his policies. And all he does is divide Canadians into little categories and talks down to them and tries to get them to fight with each other in order to avoid paying attention to him.
You also understand pain. So if he wants to pick a fight with Canada, we have to make sure it's clear that it's going to hurt Americans as well. There's going to be pain felt for not just Canadians, but also Americans. And so that's why I'm calling on my plan. We know that the United States needs our critical minerals. They're very important for the United States. So I'm calling on all political leaders to support turning off the taps on those critical minerals. Let's stop the flow of those critical minerals into the States. There's no quicker way to get Donald Trump to back away from tariffs than to shut off the tap on critical minerals, what the states need very clearly. But what is the plan of the other leaders, the other political leaders? We know the Liberals are in disarray, but what about Pierre Poilievre? His plan is literally to do nothing at a time when Canadians are desperately worried about Donald Trump and the threat to Canada. You hear that anywhere you go. If you go out and meet people, they're worried about Donald Trump, they're worried about the threat. And what is Pierre Poilievre proposing to do? Nothing. His literal plan is to do nothing.
Because Pierre Poilievre knows not to overstep his bounds. He's not the prime minister yet.
Well, here's the thing. Nobody is going to meet with Jagmeet Singh who's in the United States. Nobody. Just as it doesn't make sense for anybody in the United States to meet with Pierre Poilievre. Why? Because right now he has the power to do nothing. That's the power that he has.
Right. He's the leader of the opposition. If things stay the way that they are, he's going to become prime minister. But as Pierre always says, we haven't won anything yet.
And by Pierre not meeting with people from the United States and in Trump's team, it's actually, in a way, it's actually showing some strength from Pierre, because if he did, it actually puts him in a weakened position, because it allows the other side that you're trying to get to listen to you to just essentially sit there and berate you and make fun of you, because they know that you can do nothing. And because of that, they know that you can't say anything that is going to make any difference whatsoever to what they're going to do. So it puts you in a very, very weak position in a conversation, never mind negotiating.
Well, and I think Pierre's doing it the right way, where he's not directly involved, but he's telling Canadians, we're going to put Canada first. We're going to create the economic conditions for a prosperous Canada. We're going to take care of Canada. He's telling Canadians what he will do once he's elected, but he's not getting involved now because it's premature for him to get involved now.
Right. So this is the thing. And why are premiers, going down there? Because they actually have the ability to do something.
Well, they're the leader of their provinces.
Right.
They are in charge of the stuff that happens within those provinces.
Right. And I also find it funny that Jagmeet Singh is literally suggesting something that is kind of already being considered by the provinces and the federal government. Is it the minerals specifically? No, but they're considering either tariffs or recommending, stopping business in certain sectors. So, his plan, my plan, is to do what's already being talked about. What an amazing revelation from the NDP.
Well, this hasn't been his whole strategy up until this point. Just do what the other guy is saying.
Yeah, and try and claim it for himself.
Yeah.
So, yeah. No, nobody cares about what you have to say.
That is failure in leadership, to do nothing. Well, and we know why as well. We know he's been endorsed by Elon Musk.
Okay, wait, sorry, I had to stop there. I want to quote Jagmeet Singh right there. That is failure in leadership to do nothing. Where have we seen that? Where have we seen that?
The last 2.5 years
Oh,
with the
right.
NDP attached to the Liberals' horse. Like, they put their cart attached to the Liberals' horse and they got dragged down with it.
And they literally did nothing as Canada fell apart. They just continued to prop up the government, wouldn't take a stand, and they literally did nothing. It's like everybody on the left loves to project. They love to say, this is what everybody else should be doing, and you're not doing it. Meanwhile, they're the ones that are actually doing that the most.
But he doesn't want to do anything to upset that endorsement. He's been endorsed by a billionaire because Pierre Poilievre is a billionaire bootlicker. Billionaires know that he's going to make them richer. Elon Musk knows that he's going to make him even richer. And anytime a politician decides to side with the billionaires, we know what that means for working class people. It means pain for working class. It means cuts to the services that working class people need. It means pain for the middle class. That's what Pierre Poilievre is about. That is a failure in leadership. I put my plan forward. That's what we need. We need leadership to take on Donald Trump. We need strength. And one more thing. For Donald Trump, musing about the 51st state, Canadians have no interest in that. Canadians are proud of our country. We want to fight to defend our country. We're proud of the fact that we take care of our neighbor, that we've got universal health care, and we want nothing to do with becoming a part of the United States.
I'm shaking in my boots.
Our healthcare system used to be good, but it's not anymore. The wait times are atrocious. You hear stories of people waiting up to 24 hours in the emergency room. Like, there was a gentleman, I think from Montreal, who he had a splitting headache and went to the emergency room. The wait was so long that he decided to leave, ended up dying of an aneurysm. Like, that's the state of our healthcare right now.
Yeah, and I think there's a lawsuit over that at this point. I think I read that somewhere. So, but this is the NDP, right? And notice there's no criticism from Jagmeet Singh on the Liberals. Like, hello, and
Yeah.
why? Because he knows that they're not his competition right now.
Well, and I think he knows he helped cause this. The criticism should be that, look at these liberals, they're running a leadership race when we have this threat of 25% tariffs coming in. Why didn't you guys figure out your leadership stuff before so that we could be in election mode right now? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? And he knows the answer is because the NDP propped them up.
Well, and the other issue is because he knows that Canadians aren't really going to be looking to vote Liberal in the next election. They're primarily going to be looking to vote Conservative. So that's where Jagmeet Singh needs to be focusing his attack. So he's at least focusing on the right area in order to try to get votes. The problem is that Canadians know that he's one of the reasons that we're in this mess in the first place.
I don't know. You want my opinion? It's that Jagmeet Singh and the NDP should be trying to steal as many votes away from the Liberals as they possibly can, even though the Liberals don't have that many votes left to steal. But between those two parties, it's a race to the bottom. So he should be trying to figure out how to steal votes away from them. He should be trying to attack the new Liberal leader, even though we don't know who it is. I mean, look at what the Conservatives are doing. They've got attacks out on Kearney. They've got attacks out on Christy Clark. They've got attacks out on Freeland. They're just attacking anybody who could possibly be the next leader, even though they haven't announced their candidacy yet.
Well, the issue is that the Conservatives have money because they actually, have people donating to them that want them in government. And then there's the NDP that, I don't even know if they could put on a bake sale right now.
Yeah, but money is not necessarily needed. Money absolutely helps. I think in all situations, we can probably agree to that. But Jagmeet's standing there right now at a microphone, and instead of trying to attack the Liberals or their new leader that's going to be coming in, he's attacking the Conservatives. How does that make sense? Like, politically, from a strategic standpoint, how does that make sense?
Pareto principle. They have the vast amount of voters for him to actually try to, steal from his side. So
I know, but think about it. Politically and strategically, are you going to attack the big dog in the room, or are you going to attack the dog that's your size?
Well, put it this way. Whatever Jagmeet's strategy is, we're pretty sure it's based on nonsense and a lack of logic, because that's the way they've acted for the last couple of years.
Are you suggesting that premiers and ministers should not do any kind of diplomacy with the incoming administration?
What's become clear is that meeting with Donald Trump does nothing. Ask Danielle Smith. She met with him, she tried to wine and dine him, and she came back and said, yep, there's definitely tariffs coming. So clearly that approach is not working.
But it's been
that approach
one meeting,
is clearly failed with Donald Trump. That Donald Trump only understands one thing, and that is force. We have to show that if he's going to pick a fight with Canada, it's going to hurt Americans as well. That is the only thing that he understands.
I feel like he's jumping the gun on this, that, as the reporter said, one time of having a discussion does not mean that the whole negotiation has failed. I think Jagmeet has been kind of the shadow of the Liberal government for so long. I think he's overcompensating now. And I think if he had any real power, it would be to Canada's detriment.
Well, he's also in a position where he's trying to prove that he's still competent as leader of the NDP, because he's completely lost the support of his caucus, which is why he was forced to completely change his tune and then commit to voting non-confidence against the Liberals.
Well, and that's exactly what you heard, is that they had a caucus meeting where he went in saying, all options are on the table. Came out of that caucus meeting that all of a sudden, no, we're going to vote non-confidence for sure. Obviously, it was the caucus members that are like, okay, enough is enough. We're voting non-confidence no matter what, and you can come with us or you can look like a fool. Your choice.
Right. So he's overcompensating, I think, on all fronts. And, you don't get one of our closest allies to do what you want by just jumping up and down and having a temper tantrum, Donald Trump or not. Like, this is a very complicated situation, and I'll be honest, I don't know what is required to find an amicable solution to this. However, I think the best person for the job is going to be Pierre Poilievre, that out of, the NDP, who's Jagmeet Singh, the Liberals, who we don't know the leader yet, but many of them have a disdain for Trump, and Pierre Poilievre. Pierre is absolutely going to be the one that fixes this situation and finds a resolution for both countries. Well, and here's the thing. This 25% tariff, this is a preload to a deal. That's what it is.
Yeah, you always start high, right?
Well, you start with something. So Donald Trump, seeing that the Liberals were in a very, very weakened state, he's deciding to take advantage, right? So this is a preload to a deal. And the deal is not going to be 25% tariffs, or it's not going to look anything like that. So what is required is for the next government to come in and then sit down and, what's that word, Jagmeet? Oh yeah, talk.
Negotiate.
To the U.S. and then work out that deal. That's what's going to be required here. It's not going to be like stomping around and saying, we're going to hurt you. Like,
it's not going to be starting a trade war, which is what Jagmeet is suggesting.
Well, if there is a trade war, Donald Trump would be the one to start it. But the thing is it takes two to actually have a war. So Jagmeet's option is, okay, so we just stop all these goods coming into the U.S. and it's no skin off Jagmeet's back, because it's not like the government owns these companies. These are private companies or publicly traded companies that are making their own money, and he just is going to say, okay, so yeah, you companies, stop making your hundreds of millions of dollars and jeopardize your jobs and jeopardize the communities that these people, like, it's kind of insane. So he just wants them to stop, and then what? Eventually, Donald Trump is going to say, "Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Singh, that hurt America, so we're just going to forget this ever happened." Like, that's what he seriously think is going to happen here.
Why not
We're
Canada?
talking with premiers about retaliatory tariffs on Wednesday. Would you rather see targeted tariffs or a more broad-based action like the Americans are putting on Canada?
I think we need to be very strategic about our response. So we need to look at a step-by-step response that meets the tariffs in kind and that escalates the pressure that we're putting on the United States. And so I propose starting with one thing like critical minerals, and then we can expand on that and build on that. But we need to look at how we have a response plan that goes step by step, that increases the pressure on the United States to make it clear to Donald Trump, if he picks a fight with Canada, it's going to hurt the United States as well. And it's why, again, I want to point out that that while Donald Trump is threatening Canadians, Pierre Poilievre's plan is to do nothing, to sit back and literally do nothing, because he's been endorsed by Elon Musk. He doesn't want to upset that endorsement, so he's got no interest in defending Canadian jobs.
I hate how these guys act that a politician has any control over some random celebrity who chooses to endorse them.
Yeah, it's
It's ridiculous. I mean,
well, it's like, if somebody in the United States who is a, crazy racist, white supremacist, whatever, is just like a terrible, terrible person, and they stand up and say, "I like that Pierre Poilievre guy,"
or even I like Jagmeet Singh, right? Like, pick any politician. It means nothing unless you have like a personal connection. For example, when Christy Clark had endorsed Jean Charest, they had a personal relationship. They knew each other. So something like that would be valuable. But just like some random person, it really doesn't mean much. They're trying to make it seem like Pierre Poilievre can control the words coming out of somebody else's mouth.
Well, and Pierre Poilievre was actually asked about the Elon Musk endorsement, and what he did is he didn't really respond to the endorsement. What he did say is Elon Musk should come up here and start making cars in Canada, bring jobs up here. That would be great. Like, that's what he said, and that's an appropriate response. And why is that? Because for the exact reason Tanya laid out, it's a trap question. You're not going to talk about the endorsement about somebody. Like, you cannot control that. What you can do is you can say, listen, if this guy's a business guy, he should be coming up here. He should be investing in Canada. He should be building cars here. That makes his company profitable. That creates potentially more American jobs down there, and it creates Canadian jobs up here. Everybody wins. That's kind of the point here. But the fact that Jagmeet is trying to like keep using this, call it this slogan of billionaire bootlickers.
It's cringe.
It's so bad.
It's cringe.
It is so terrible. And I can't even think about it without cracking a joke. But this is where he's at, right? Jagmeet is so desperate right now. He may lose his own riding. He's going to lose his position as leadership of the NDP. He's going to lose the next election, and I don't know. It's just kind of a pathetic last ditch attempt to stay relevant, because after this election, the NDP are going to be completely irrelevant for the next 8 years, and he knows it.